But my hope, as always, is that you see something today that unlocks a memory for you and takes you back to those carefree and innocent days of tossing your backpack by the door and grabbing a snack and a drink before settling in on the couch for some TV time before you had to do your homework. Hey everyone, my name is Perry, and welcome back to the Cassette Phase. Well, the weekend is quickly approaching, and another busy work week is almost in the books, and it's appropriate that I'm talking about today's topic on my lunch break, because the subject of today's video, as you saw in the thumbnail, is food and drink items from the 80s and the 90s that you would give anything to taste again. Or would you? Because a lot like smell, taste can be linked directly to certain memories. Memories of school lunches and after-school snacks and blockbuster movie nights and Saturday morning sweetness. So today, we're going to talk about some of my most memorable snack foods and soft drinks and dessert items from childhood, many of which are long gone, but a few of them that you may still be able to track down. And we will of course mix in our cassette of the day like always, but today's video is going to be full of memories so real you can almost taste them. Sound like fun to you? Come hang out. Okay everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman, and welcome to another great day here in the den. Today for my background noise, I've got some I Dream of Jeannie going over on the TV. That show just reminds me of daytime television as a kid, you know, lazy summer days with nothing to do but lie around when it's hot and watch things like I Dream of Jeannie. But before we get into the rest of our discussion about snack foods and drinks from our childhood years, we're going to do our cassette of the day. And for today, I'm going with an audio cassette for an album and an artist that was everywhere during the beginning of the MTV heyday, the music video generation and top 40 soft rock on the radio. An artist that I think is kind of underrated, if you could say underrated for someone that was this commercially successful. But a lot of people, I think, kind of consider him more of like a guilty pleasure. Like I've said before, I don't really subscribe to that theory. If you like something, you like it. No reason to feel guilty about it at all. And who didn't like the pop stylings back in 1987 of Richard Marx? Now, his songs were everywhere when we're talking about MTV and the radio. And like I said, soft rock, pop rock, whatever. Not a lot of edge to it, but some of the tracks on here were actually, pretty rockin'. And I just read briefly before sitting down to record today that his first 7 singles reached the top 5 on the charts, which he was the first solo artist to ever do that. Pretty impressive if you think about it. But yeah, that Should Have Known Better is one of my favorite, summer rock songs. It's just so catchy and a great opener to this album. You've also got huge hit ballad style songs like Endless Summer Nights, which is just perfect for this time of year, by the way. And Hold On to the Nights, which sounds like it could have been out of any, John Hughes 80s teen movie soundtrack. Maybe it was, and I'm just not thinking about it, but his second album is just as good, and we'll do that on another future cassette of the day, but I figured we'd start with the debut. Lots of hits on this one. Always fun to open up a cassette tape and remember what it was like to take the sleeve out and look and see if there were lyrics available. Yeah, this one still plays really well. I put this in the boombox pretty frequently because most of the songs are solid and enjoyable. You know, that's kind of what you're looking for when you're listening to a cassette and you're not able to skip songs. But yeah, if you haven't listened to Richard Marx in a while, check it out. You know, he's still around, still doing his thing. If you watched my video probably about a month back for my nostalgic summer album review where I talked about Yacht Master by Ultra Boss, still one of my favorite summer albums. I've been listening to it a ton. It still hasn't gotten old, but it has a lot of elements of Richard Marx in it, like the vocals and some of the production and some of the melodies. I was feeling bold one day and I tried to send him the link to that album on Instagram, or you know, to his PR people or whoever manages his social media accounts. They didn't read it. They didn't respond. I figured it was a long shot, but I feel like that's an album that a guy like Richard Marx would absolutely enjoy. But either way, whether he checks it out one day or whether he doesn't, which he probably won't, still a good selection here for our cassette of the day. Now, long before the days of counting calories and watching our cholesterol, we would enjoy so many unique and memorable snacks and treats. Usually the ones that were advertised directly at us through our cartoons and our sitcoms and our movies and our comic books. Well, I'd like to talk about just a few of those today. And because this is another subject that has nearly countless examples, this may be one that we have to turn into a series down the road, because I'm sure that I'm going to miss quite a few. But just keep in mind that we're just scratching the surface with today's video. But my hope, as always, is that you see something today that unlocks a memory for you and takes you back to those carefree and innocent days of tossing your backpack by the door and grabbing a snack and a drink before settling in on the couch for some TV time before you had to do your homework. But before we get started today, let's take just a moment to do what we do best while we're hanging out here in the den. Just relax for a minute and picture your childhood refrigerator or your childhood pantry. What kind of stuff were you grabbing? Let's rewind. So let's start today with some drinks. Now, keep in mind that I have done full videos in the past here on this channel talking about some of the sodas of the 80s and the 90s. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, be sure to go back and check those out. And a couple of the old favorites might pop up here as well, but we're also going to try to venture away from the soda type drinks and into some of the other beverages that we enjoyed as kids. And to start, let's take a quick look back at High C Ecto Cooler.
This summer, coming to a supermarket near you, there's going to be a great new High spicy flavor with an outrageous fruit taste. And what are we gonna call it? Ecto Cooler. High-C Ecto Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink. You've been warned.
Now, Ecto Cooler was basically Ghostbusters branded radioactive juice in a box. That neon green drink had Slimer on the carton, and our childhoods packed into every drop. And this has made a few comebacks over the years, in 2016 and then most recently I think in 2021, but I was never able to find it here in my area. And I always hope that they bring this drink back, if nothing else, for the packaging. Because the taste, will it still taste good as an adult? I may never find out. So what about Crystal Pepsi? What a gimmick of a beverage that was, but we loved it. Let's look back. Wow, so soda that looked like Sprite but tasted like cola. That was so confusing for our brains and our taste buds. And this is another one that they've brought back a few times over the years, most recently in 2022, I believe. And I was able to get a couple of bottles of it last time, but it didn't taste as good as I remembered. Either they changed the formula on us or it just never really tasted good. My 11-year-old brain tells me that it did. Before we move on to snacks and desserts, let's talk about one more drink today. Who remembers Squeeze-Its?
Squeeze-It fruit drink. So much fun, kids can't wait to get their hands on it. You don't just drink a Squeeze-It, you squeeze a Squeeze-It. Squeeze it in fruity flavors like chocolate cherry and mean green puncher. Go ahead. Squeeze the fun out of it. Something really cool is happening. Frozen Squeeze-It makers in your favorite Squeeze-It characters. Squeeze-It Freeze-It, one in marked 6-packs.
Now, Squeeze-It makes me think of pool time in the summer. You know, grabbing one out of the cooler and twisting off that top and squeezing what was basically off-brand Kool-Aid directly into your mouth. And speaking of Kool-Aid, you can still find Kool-Aid Burst to this day, which is probably the closest thing that we'll get to the original Squeeze-It. And I loved Kool-Aid so much as a kid. I've talked about it a lot before here on the channel, but we could seriously do a full video on Kool-Aid with the commercials and the products and the merch and all the different flavors. We may have to do that one. So we've talked about drinks. Let's talk about some of my most memorable snack foods from back in the 80s and the early 90s. And I'd like to start out with a cookie, a Nabisco cookie called Giggles. Who remembers these?
I like new Giggles cookies because they've got 2 kinds of cream inside. He likes Giggles' funny faces. There's fudge and vanilla cream in each one. I can't believe how good this is.
New Giggles cookies. 2 kinds of cream in each funny face.
Are you gonna eat that?
Wow, I loved those things though. Looking back at them now, they were kind of like little faces that would look up at you as you were about to devour them. But I can still remember kind of how they tasted too. But who could forget that commercial and that old packaging? Just great stuff. And a few other cookies that I just want to briefly mention here. Who remembers Keebler's Magic Middles? These were like little chocolate lava cakes for your lunchbox. And what about grasshopper cookies, which may still be around in some form, but I just have vague memories of cookies that looked like Oreos, but they had like green mint filling. And I'm pretty sure they had an actual picture of a grasshopper on the cookie itself that always looked kind of like Jiminy Cricket. Now, this next one is more of a category. chips or like salted snacks, I guess, because these were the types of things that I was going for all the time as a kid. So let's roll a few commercials for some great old products like pizzerias, Oh Boise's, and Tato Skins. Enjoy.
Hey, fellas, come on down and taste something new.
Right, Uncle Ernie.
In your dreams. Pizza! Bizarric, man! Chips!
New pizzerias.
Cranking with real pizza dough!
Cheese, spices,
Radical grub!
tastes like real pizza.
Only louder! Pizzerias rule! Groovy chips, huh, boys?
What'd he say?
Even people who love potato chips are surprised at how good Keebler's Oh Boise's taste.
Oh, Boise's are oh boisterous. They're bubbly, crackly, roisterous. So full of Idaho potato taste. Oh, Boise's are oh boisterous.
Made by the Keebler Elves, Oh Boise's potato snack chips in original and sour cream and onion. So bubbly, crackly, so Idaho potatoey, you'll say...
Glorious, notorious, delicious, and uproarious. The Keebler's oh Boise's and oh Boise's are oh boisterous.
Keebler presents the appealing taste of baked potato skins in a crispy, crunchy chip.
Potato skins got baked potato appeal, 'cause they're made with potatoes and skins that are real.
The Keebler Elves make potato skins with real potatoes and real potato skins for a flavor with whole baked potato appeal.
Cheddar cheese and bacon, sour cream and chives. Tasty baked potato, you won't believe your eyes. They're made with potatoes and skins that are real. Potato skins from Keebler, baked potato appeal.
Now, I haven't seen pizzerias or Oh Boise's in years and years, but for a while you could still get something very similar to those Tato Skins in the TGI Fridays branded potato skins, which were pretty darn close and pretty darn good. And I'd like to do another category here, or a tribute, if you will, to one of the most popular snack items in our household, and that's fruit snacks. There were just so many memorable versions of the fruit snack. Let's take a look at just a few.
Just when you thought it was safe to eat shark bites.
The shark may have up to 3,000 teeth.
Class dismissed.
Whoa! A shark's tooth.
Fruity shark's teeth. Now in Shark Bites fruit snacks, you can put the bite on something.
Flat. Add some pop with new Sodalicious. The Soda Pop fruit snacks with the tingly soda sensation.
So delicious.
Sodalicious fruit snacks in Sodalicious soda flavors like cherry cola and root beer. New Sodalicious fruit snacks.
Because life without it is flat.
K19er, all systems go. New Thunder Jets fruit snacks are taking off with super fruity F-16s, F-14 Tomcats, SR-71 spy planes, MiG-27s, and the super cool stealth bomber. So top secret, it's not in every pouch. All zooming way past mega scrumptious with a sonic boom of real fruit taste. New powerfully good Thunder Jets, the fruit snack that goes fast.
So earlier, I asked you to picture your childhood pantry or your childhood refrigerator. But let's get even more specific than that for these next few. And let's picture your childhood freezer, and maybe even your neighborhood ice cream truck for some treats that you could enjoy while sitting out on the curb on a summer evening with the smell of fresh cut grass and the growing hum of the cicadas. First up, we've got Flintstones push-up pops.
Push-up!
Yabba dabba doo! A yabba dabba, a dabba doo! Yeah, Flintstone push-up, that's what's cool! Push-up, Flintstone push-up! A modern Stone Age server treat! A taste right out of history! Push-up! A foodie flavor! Fred, Barney, Wilma too! Make every bite more fun for you! Push-up, Flintstone push-up! A taste right out of history!
Now, it's my understanding that these have been around as recently as just a few years ago. And you may even be able to get the same exact thing to this day, just without the Flintstones branding. But honestly, if I'm gonna eat a sherbet treat that I have to push through what is essentially a toilet paper roll, I at least want it to feature Pebbles and Dino and Bam Bam. Another staple at the Cassette Phase household in the 80s and the 90s was the Flavor Ice Freezer Pop. You know, we would grab 4 or 5 of those at a time, you know, put them in a cup, cut the tops, and head over to the TV to watch some American Gladiators or some 90210. And when we didn't have the freezer pops, sometimes we'd have like a generic version, which was more round, and it had like an indention in the middle so that you could break them in half and essentially have 2 separate popsicles. I have no idea what these were actually called, but if I can find a picture of them, I'll be sure to show you here. And there were just so many others. Just imagine the side of the ice cream truck at golden hour with all of those character ice cream choices, some with bubblegum eyes. I can almost hear the sound of that music coming around the corner. So that's it for today, guys. And like I said, just scratching the surface, really. I'd like to talk about some other items in future videos. You know, things like Dunkaroos and PB Crisps and Ninja Turtle pies and Kid Cuisine and Tang and Nestle Quick. And like I said, full videos likely coming on Kool-Aid and the breakfast cereals of our childhood years, which will include things like oatmeal swirlers. Remember those? But honestly, I could go on for hours about this topic. But for today, I'll just leave you with this. We know that a lot of these food and drink items are likely never coming back, but that's okay, because we've got channels like the Cassette Phase and New 80s Revolution and Oh I Had That and countless others where we can hang out and pretend like they've been here the whole time. And you all know, I'm going to continue to do my best to try to recreate the feeling of peeling back a foil lid or puncturing a juice box with your straw. And will I be successful in doing that? Maybe not, but I'm going to have a lot of fun trying. And there we are. So I hope that you all enjoyed our lightly salted, chocolate-covered trip down memory lane today. And if you did, consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to like the video, but only if you actually liked the video. But for now, and as always, relax, enjoy life, and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.